GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Let's dive into the headlines shaping our city and beyond, with the latest developments you need to know right now.
Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada announced today that the city will have an independent observer appointed to monitor the SBVM's internal probe of alleged racism. The observer, selected by the mayor's office under the direction of city official Lafreniere, will report directly on the progress and findings of the police investigation. The move follows the mayor's earlier demand for an external inquiry after multiple complaints of discriminatory conduct surfaced within the force. City officials say the observer's role is to ensure transparency and accountability as the SBVM continues its review. Community groups have welcomed the step, noting that an impartial monitor could restore public confidence. The appointment is effective immediately, and the observer will begin reviewing case files and interview protocols this week. Lawmakers have urged concrete action, and the mayor emphasized the observer will operate outside the SBVM's internal hierarchy. Reports will go to City Council.
An escaped marsupial has been spotted roaming the South Shore, prompting wildlife officials to warn of a possible trafficking link. Animal rights advocates say the creature likely fled an illegal holding somewhere on the island's southern banks. The Quebec Environment Ministry confirmed teams are canvassing neighborhoods from Langueuchi to Brossard, searching for the animal and the source of its captivity. Officials stress that any unauthorized possession of exotic species violates provincial law and fuels a broader illegal trade network. The ministry has urged the public to report sightings without approaching the animal, while activists call for stricter enforcement against smugglers. This incident arrives as Quebec intensifies efforts to curb wildlife trafficking, a problem that has drawn national attention in recent years. Authorities hope the swift response will prevent further illegal activity and protect local ecosystems.
10 free concerts are lighting up the streets this week as the Francos de Montreal marks its 37th edition. From Sunday through the following Monday, organizers have scheduled a series of open-air performances across the city, each featuring French-language artists ranging from emerging indie groups to established pop acts. The concerts are part of the annual Francos de Montreal celebration, which traditionally showcases Francophone music through a rotating lineup of venues in neighborhoods such as the Plateau, Myland, and the Old Port. All shows are free to the public, encouraging families and tourists to experience live music without cost. Festival officials say the free concert format aims to broaden access and highlight the diversity of contemporary French-speaking talent throughout the week. The program runs from Sunday, June 12, through the following Monday, June 20, aligning with city's summer concert series and complementing events such as Jazz Festival later in July.
Today, the new St. Hubert terminal of the Montreal Metropolitan Airport opened its doors, greeting its first travelers. The modern facility, built as part of the airport's recent expansion, adds a fresh gateway for passengers heading to destinations across the province and beyond. Officials highlighted the terminal's spacious design, advanced check-in kiosks, and streamlined security lanes aimed at easing congestion during peak travel periods. Construction crews completed the project on schedule, and airline partners are already operating flights from the new gate area. The opening marks a significant step in boosting the airport's overall capacity, supporting the region's growing demand for air travel. Travelers stepping onto the concourse reported a smooth experience, signaling a promising start for the St. Hubert hub. Airport officials expect the terminal to handle several thousand passengers daily and plan extra gates and more dining options soon.
Today, the former Premier François Legault publicly dismissed the Quebec Auditor General's recent critique of his government's battery program. The audit, released earlier this week, painted the province's handling of the emerging battery sector in a negative light, focusing on a $700 million allocation that was directed toward companies that subsequently declared bankruptcy. Legault, speaking from Montreal, asserted that the report misrepresents his record and that the funding was a necessary safeguard for jobs and technological development. He emphasized that the province's commitment to a domestic battery supply chain remains unchanged despite the auditor's findings. The Auditor General, meanwhile, maintained that the program's oversight was insufficient and called for tighter controls on future disbursements. The disagreement adds a new flashpoint to ongoing debates over Quebec's industrial policy and fiscal stewardship today.
Later, we'll hear from the Ombudsman about the worsening homeless situation in Milton Park and what city leaders plan to do. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for staying with us. Up next, Rachel Reed brings our top local stories you need to hear right now.
Good evening. The Montreal Ombudsman released a report on June 15th indicating that conditions for itinerant residents in Milton Park have not improved. The document notes that both the intensity and the complexity of the challenges facing this population have risen. Milton Park, a neighborhood long known for a visible itinerant presence, now faces heightened concerns over shelter, health, and safety needs. The Ombudsman's assessment follows months of community observations and municipal monitoring, confirming that the situation is worsening rather than stabilizing. City officials will review the findings with housing agencies to consider next steps for assistance and coordination. The report does not provide specific remedial actions, but highlights the growing strain on local resources and the escalating nature of the issues in the area.
An investigation by the Provincial Inspector General's office has uncovered possible misconduct in the awarding of a public pool renovation contract at the Centre Claude Rabia. The contract to refurbish the facility's pool went to an Italian water equipment supplier known as the Bureau of the Inspector General, or BIG. Authorities say a privileged contact inside the engineering consulting firm overseeing the project allegedly shaped the request for proposals to favor the supplier. The probe, launched after the contract was awarded on June 15th, points to improper influence in the tender process. If the allegations are confirmed, the findings could affect how municipal renovation projects are sourced and raise questions about oversight of public-funded contracts. The center's pool, a popular venue for neighborhood swim lessons and recreational laps, is funded by allocations, making the procurement process a matter of interest. Officials have not disclosed whether any contracts have been suspended pending the review.
The former railway that winds through the Laurentian Hills celebrated 3 decades as a premier cycling and skiing corridor this June. The Petit Train du Nord marked its 30th anniversary with a weekend of community rides, family activities, and a ribbon-cutting ceremony led by Andy Bennett, a longtime advocate for the trail. Since its conversion in 1996, the 200-kilometer path has drawn thousands of cyclists, snowshoers, and cross-country skiers each season, making it one of the province's most traveled recreational routes. Organizers highlighted the trail's role in encouraging active outdoor habits and supporting local businesses that line the route. The celebration featured guided tour that traced the original rail line, showcasing historic stations now repurposed as rest stops. As the sun set over the pine-covered valleys, participants reflected on 3 generations of users who have enjoyed the same scenic corridor.
Requests for housing repossession before the Administrative Housing Tribunal have surged, rising to 3 times the level recorded 12 years ago, a new report released June 15 shows. The study, compiled by the Regroupement des Comités Logement et Associations de Locataires du Québec, documents a sharp climb in eviction-related cases across the province. Tenants say they are finding it harder to defend against court-ordered evictions, and housing advocates are using the data to press for stronger rent control measures. The tribunal's own statistics confirm the upward trend, prompting the tenant coalition to call on policymakers to protect the right to stable housing. While the report stops short of proposing specific legislation, it underscores growing pressure on the rental market and highlights the challenges families face when faced with possible displacement in the coming months.
Porter Airlines is rolling out a new passenger terminal at Montreal Metropolitan Airport on the city's South Shore. The airline says the facility will open on June 15th, giving travelers a second airport option in the region. The terminal is part of Porter's plan to expand its presence beyond the existing island location, aiming to ease congestion and shorten commutes for passengers heading to downtown. Construction has already begun, and officials note that the site includes check-in counters, expanded baggage handling, and improved road access. South Shore site sits near major highways, making it reachable for commuters from surrounding suburbs. Porter highlighted that the terminal will feature lounges and a security process designed to cut waiting times. Airline hopes the added convenience will attract flyers who previously drove across the bridge to the island airport. Porter expects new terminal to handle a share of its regional traffic once operations commence.
Now let's turn to the weather team for a quick look at tonight's conditions across the island.
Tonight's weather snapshot rolls in, setting the stage for tomorrow's plans and a look ahead. On this day, the city recorded its all-time high of 27.7 degrees back in 2016, a blistering peak that arrived amid an extended heat wave sweeping the province. The opposite extreme came more recently, when a chilly spell in 2025 pushed temperatures down to 8.4 degrees, the coldest June reading on record. By comparison, the climate normals for mid-June hover around a high of 21 degrees and a low of 11 degrees, making both extremes feel especially notable. Right now it's 15 degrees with partly cloudy skies, humidity sitting at 65%, and a gentle breeze of 6 kilometers per hour. As the night deepens, temperatures will dip to about 11 degrees before sunrise. Tomorrow promises a pleasant high of 21 degrees and a low around 11, with a bright morning that quickly turns sunny. The UV index climbs to 7, so sunscreen is wise if you'll be outdoors. Winds will pick up to a maximum of 29 kilometers per hour from the west, adding a fresh feel but nothing hazardous. There are no active weather alerts, and rain isn't in the cards. All set for a comfortable evening and a pleasant start to the day ahead. Looking ahead, Tuesday will bring a clear sky and a comfortable high of 23 degrees with a low near 12, perfect for an evening stroll. Wednesday shifts to overcast conditions, bringing a chance of rain at 40% and a high of 22 degrees, while the low climbs to 14. Thursday is the wettest day, with clouds dominating and an 85% chance of rain, high 21 degrees and low 16, so keep an umbrella handy. Friday stays cloudy with a 55% rain probability, high 20 degrees and low 15, offering a cool but dry spell in the afternoon. Saturday rounds out the stretch with overcast skies, a 35% rain chance, high 19 degrees and low 15, a gentle finish to the week.
When we return, we'll break down today's traffic snarls, preview tonight's concert lineup, and catch the Canadians' prospects. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
Awards, prospects, and draft news, a big night for hockey. A big night for the Canadians at the NHL Awards. Captain Nick Suzuki has won the Frank J. Selk Trophy, while teammate Cole Caulfield takes home the Lady Byng Trophy. 2 awards, 1 organization. Montreal's core picking up hardware, according to CBC Sports. More good news out of the Canadiens organization. Prospect Bryce Pickford has been named CHL Defenseman of the Year. Sportsnet reports the honor signals promising depth in Montreal's defensive pipeline, a name Habs fans will want to remember. On the women's side, the PWHL has released the selection order for its 2026 draft, set to take place in 2 days. Sportsnet reports the announcement gives teams and fans a clearer picture of how draft day will unfold.
On a bright Saturday morning in the heart of Milan, the streets outside the historic St. Joseph's Church pulse with the first notes of Suoni per Il Popolo's 26th edition. Musicians, longtime volunteers, and families gather on the cobblestones, their scarves fluttering as a brass quartet launches a cascade of improvisational tones that ripple through the neighborhood. The air smells of fresh coffee from a nearby cafe, and a teenage drummer, notebook in hand, taps out a rhythm that seems to echo the city's own heartbeat. From June 16th through June 28th, the festival will transform park pavilions, community centers, and rooftop gardens into laboratories of sound, each performance a reminder that experimental music can be a communal act of celebration and survival. Yesterday's highlight arrived when a choir of senior residents joined a young electronic ensemble, their voices weaving through synth-laden melodies, drawing spontaneous applause from strangers who stopped to listen. In that instant, the power of shared creation was unmistakable, a radiant thread binding generations. Moments like this are why Montreal thrives on art and togetherness.
On a Saturday afternoon in the Myland, St. Laurent Hall filled with the murmur of volunteers, shelter staff, and a handful of rescued dogs lounging on donated blankets. At the center of the gathering stood actress Marina Orsini, her familiar calm contrasted by the wagging tails that surrounded her. The Montreal SPCA announced today that Orsini will serve as the organization's inaugural patron, a role designed to give a human voice to the agency as it navigates a critical stretch before July 1st, when new municipal regulations will tighten shelter requirements. Orsini, who grew up in a neighborhood not far from the hall, recalled the first time she rescued a stray kitten from a snowdrift, describing the moment as the instant I understood the quiet bravery of those who cannot speak for themselves. Her appointment was sealed with the symbolic handing of a silver collar, engraved with the SPCA's emblem, to a 3-year-old Labrador who had spent months recovering from a bout of illness. The sight of that gentle dog stepping forward, tail low but eyes bright, reminded everyone present that advocacy begins with a single, steady step forward.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on The Wrap. Tonight's look at the escaped marsupial on the South Shore reminded us how unexpected stories can spark important conversations. We'll be back tomorrow with more of the city's headlines, so stay tuned and have a great night.